I'm Jo Elvin and I'm the CEO of Children with Cancer UK. Thank you for joining us today. If you already know about us, welcome. This series of events is our chance to share with you more about what we do, how we support children with cancer, how we can be there for you if you need it, and how you can support us. If you don't, well, we'd love to tell you why you should. We all know what the pink ribbon stands for, right? And we talk about testicular and prostate cancer far more freely than we ever did. But do we hear anything much about childhood cancer? Well, that would be a no. No one wants to hear that teenagers, children, babies are dying of this terrible disease. Every day in the UK, 10 children and young people are diagnosed with cancer, but currently, thanks to people like our supporters and the tireless dedication of visionary researchers like those we're able to fund, more than 80% of young patients can be treated successfully. We're here to ensure that that percentage goes up, and fewer families have to hear the words, "No parent should ever have to. Your child has cancer." If you're in that situation right now, or know someone who is, or want to help us in our mission, these programs will share some of the very special ways we have and are supporting patients and families as they find a different way to live with and beyond cancer, sharing not only the daily reality, but also the hope, dedication, and inspiration of just some of the amazing young patients we exist to serve. So to start us off, I would love to tell you about less obvious, but super important aspects of our work which make a difference to the lives of those incredible young people every day. Our first story introduces us to Seb, and I'll be talking to his lovely mum, Natasha. We wanted to share this journey first, as it really does show that it takes a village, that it needs different organisations to come together, often funded by grants from charities like ourselves, who will work tirelessly in collaboration to find solutions to one small person's nightmare. It shows how families also need support and that solutions are about so much more than medicine. It's about a holistic approach to a life, well, actually lives affected by cancer, and highlight some of the additional support that we can provide. Natasha, thank you so much for joining us today. I understand, unfortunately, that you've been on this cancer journey with Seb pretty much from when he was born. Can you talk me through that?
Yes, so Seb got diagnosed at 18 months old. However, he was ill for about 3-4 months before that. So yeah, from that age, really, we've lived the life of cancer.
Oh, you say that with a smile on your face. I don't know how you've done it. But so I understand that multiple organisations have been involved in holding your hand and through treating Seb.
Yeah, without that approach of everyone being together and working together, Seb wouldn't be here today, and not at all. So charities like Children with Cancer UK, who grant funds for the Royal Marsden and Great Ormond Street, and they all work together. He would not be here. We had 5 different hospitals working on his treatment plan. They met every week. They fed back to us every week about what the next step was. So without one of those components, the treatment plan wouldn't have worked.
That's extraordinary to hear, and I think that a lot of people probably don't appreciate how many organisations need to come together for that one person's treatment. Was that a surprise to you?
Absolutely. I was so naive to cancer, so naive. When the first nurse came to speak to me and they were like, "Oh, we're an oncology nurse," I was like, "What's oncology?" That was before Seb had been fully diagnosed. And they said, "Yeah, well, because of Seb's cancer." And we were like, "What?" And from that moment on, we had so many different organisations talk to not just about Seb's treatment plan, to us to help us get through. Yeah. And so it was a whole community approach to just our one family. And every family we spoke to, they had even more or different organisations involved.
How on earth do you begin to explain what it's like to live with your child's cancer diagnosis? I've heard you use the phrase before, it's like you had to learn to live a different life. What do you mean by that? How is that manifested for you?
So from the moment Seb got cancer, or we got diagnosed, our whole life forever now has changed. Before we'd get up, life is about loving and being with your families and having a life. And so that didn't change. We still wanted to keep that component of we all still loved each other. We had our great friends and family, and our life as life was still there, but the routine of life changed. So instead of getting up and going to work and coming home, doing dinner, going to bed, getting up, that changed to getting up, doing the medication, making sure his pH levels in his tubes were right, emptying the catheters, checking the appointments of when we had to be in places, going to hospital. I mean, we lived a life of hospitals, but we still wanted our life to continue. So we adapted it in the sense of, instead of going out to soft play to play, we bought a ball pool and played in the hospital or in the garden or things like that. So we still were determined to live our life because we didn't know if he was going to survive or not. So we didn't know if each day was going to be our last day. So we just adapted and brought everything to us, to the hospitals, to friends came round rather than going out. We had to be careful about mixing. So yeah, we just adapted our life and that just became the norm.
And how long were you living that quote unquote normal life? What was normal for you with that, looking after Seb's illness?
I think we still live it now, and we will still continue to live it, because the effects of cancer on Seb have created other issues that we still have to make sure we cater for. So we're always living the life of cancer, really. And we will continue that, and he will continue because he's got medication for life now. So he'll have appointments up until he's 18 at least, and then beyond into adult care.
Where is Seb's well-being in that? Do things like welfare events, well-being events, do they help a child like Seb to cope with all of that?
Massively. So lockdown was quite isolating, and Children with Cancer UK put on a lot of online events. So we had craft packs sent to us, and we could sit together as a family and do all those events, and everyone was on Zoom, and no one judges at these events. No one makes you feel different or makes you feel like being stared at. Everyone just gets it. There's no questions asked, but if you want to talk about your story, that's open discussion. And then we went recently to an event that you held at Harry Potter World.
Oh yes,
and we met. Oh yes, you were there. Yeah. And we met a lovely family. And well, we'd already met them actually, but we joined up with them. And their little boy was going through blood tests and things. And Seb has always, or was always petrified of nurses, blood tests, everything. He worked through that, and now he'll happily give blood. But and he was telling this little boy all about how not to be scared or worried, and how it doesn't hurt, and it's okay. And it was a real lovely connection between them, that they could just openly talk without it being an issue about their fears and cancer, really. So that was lovely to bring that together, especially at that event. And then, and there's been other events where children have shared stories without saying that we've had cancer, we've got cancer. It's about just being normal to them and being able to talk to each other.
That's, I think, what struck me at that Harry Potter event, is that children coming together and understanding that it wasn't just them going through this. Do you think that that's a huge benefit?
Yeah, really huge to the children, because a lot of them, I mean, Seb will openly talk about his cancer. It's always been an open discussion in our house, but not for everyone, that's not the case. So I think at those events, the children are able to just open up if they want to, or just not even talk about cancer, but like know that there's other children there that have gone through a similar experience. And for some reason, they just get it. The children just are so lovely to each other, and they just understand. And, you know, there's children still going through their treatment at that event, and no one was looking or judging, and it's just so relaxed and just brings smile on them in the faces. Everyone was smiling and having fun and forgetting. You just forget that you've living a life of cancer.
Now, I know that must be hard to forget every day, but how is Seb doing at the moment?
He's a little pickle. No, he's lovely. We're so grateful that he's with us every day. So we use every day as a day of experiences and life, and he's doing really well. He still has his medical appointments. He's having psychology appointments every other week, because he's got anxiety around things. He will always have bladder issues and obviously prostate issues, but we can work with it. He's here, he's alive, thanks to, you guys and other organisations. So we just appreciate every day. But he loves his football.
Oh, yeah. Probably not. You probably don't, do you?
Not so much. I'm getting into it now. Yeah, I'm now turning into a football mum.
Oh my God. Well, that's so good to hear. Natasha, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. It's so important that we help other people understand what life is like for children with cancer. So thank you.
No worries. It's great to be here. Thank you.
So now let's talk about running a marathon. Don't panic. I'm not asking you to run miles if a jog to the kitchen is a mission right now, although obviously you can. No, I want to talk more about support networks and how we find them. People who are walking in the same shoes and get you are so important, and maybe more than ever in our social media driven world, right? Well, when these networks form through a common cause, they can bring people together who would never have met otherwise, forming friendships which can last and grow beyond that shared interest. The Marathon Mums are some of our amazing parents who decided to run to support the charity and now stay in touch. I really hope this chat with Liz, Claire and Kerry will inspire some of you too. Well, thank you, Claire, Liz, Kerry, for joining me today. And I know that Tamsin is with us in spirit. So you are the Marathon Mums. I love that. You connected through doing the London Marathon, which is one of the biggest charity events in the UK. What was it like running it for Children with Cancer UK? And would you encourage other parents of children with cancer to take part?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I start us off, the memory I've got of us guys doing this, we still don't really know how we met. We can't remember how we met, but we met somewhere around the 2018, 2019. We think on Twitter, we think through Children with Cancer UK posts. And we were all set to do the 2020 London Marathon, but obviously COVID put paid to that. But I just looked at some photographs the other day and we all still ran it virtually, the four of us. And we ran 6 miles each, didn't we, in our hometowns. And then we videoed it. And I can remember my husband making me a pretend medal at the back gate. And there was this big, and to me, that's the fondest memory. So whilst we all did do the London Marathon, I luckily ran it with Tamsin, but we all did it in different years because of COVID. But actually, on the day that we were meant to do it, which happened to be around about our son's end of treatment dates as well, from me and Liz.
I think that was the 12 for 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
12K for the 12 children diagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah,
yes,
yeah, you're right. We did that, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a really fun. So whilst we never actually ran together, we did run together, but virtually, and it was a really special kind of connecting thing that we did. But I didn't run before I met these guys particularly, and I was just motivated. I just wanted to give something back, and I don't bake and I don't clean, and I'm not a very housewifey lady, so I decided to sort of don some trainers and run instead.
So you did the easy thing, running a marathon.
Rather than baking some cakes. Yeah.
Might have been easier to make cakes.
And I haven't stopped since. So for me, both my well-being and to be able to give back something to the charity that helped us so much, and still does, through a really difficult time, has been something personally is been quite empowering for me. So I'm very grateful to Children with Cancer UK for giving me that opportunity, really.
And we're grateful to you for your support. Claire, would you like to tell me how you think it's helped you all as parents to be going through a similar experience and being able to share that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Luke was diagnosed back in 2007. So we're 15 years post-treatment now. He's just turned 16. And I vividly remember at that time that I didn't have anybody that I could talk to about what was going on. It was all just very much me and my husband in the hospital, and we didn't have anybody else to kind of, learn or bounce off or, whatever we needed. And again, we didn't have any charities that we knew of at that time. And it wasn't until probably 3 or 4 years post-treatment that I actually came across CWC. And we were really keen to share our story and to see what we could do to help other parents at that time, going through treatment, and kind of being able to see the positive outcome that we've been lucky enough to have. And then we've supported the charity for many years. Luke was the face of the Quick Fit campaign that raised over £1 million for CWC.
That's amazing.
And then it wasn't until 2019 that we decided, we're going to run the marathon. I mean, I never ran. I hated running. My husband will agree. And we decided, we're going to give it a go, see how much money we can raise. And then, Kerry and Liz and Tamsin kind of came into the picture as other mums that had been through something similar, but they were much closer to their kind of end of treatment than I was. So I'm hoping that I could give them a little bit of an insight and a bit of support just to kind of help them through the tough times as in a way that I didn't have available to me when I needed it.
Yeah.
So, and again, same as Kerry, I still run, I still put on my trainers. It helps me clear my head if stuff's going on. And we're always keen to support the charity that has just done so much for us and many other children and their families as well.
That is wonderful to hear, and I'm only sorry that you found us later in the journey. I wish it had been earlier. Do you think that it would have been helpful for you three to have found each other in earlier stages of this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, yes, definitely. And Liz and Kerry, what?
Yeah, I think it's always really interesting, isn't it? Because everybody has different journeys depending who they've got around them. And I think it doesn't matter how big your support network, it's very different having people who've been in the same situation. So I think actually it was probably Twitter where me and Kerry first met each other, but that was because we both had separate involvements with Children with Cancer UK. And I think because our sons are same school year, diagnosed really similar times, so finished treatment really similar times. So when I discovered Kerry through a Children with Cancer UK post on something and realised, oh my goodness, we've literally been living the same lives for several years and have now met. So it was really great as we came, because we were still in treatment at that point and then obviously got to know each other later on. But as I say, we've had an amazing support network, but having people who have been through the same thing is just invaluable. It's just, you just can't replace it.
I hear a lot from parents about how it's just something that you just cannot understand with all the best will and empathy in the world until you're going through it. So the big question, and maybe you've all got a different take on it, is what advice would you give to other parents starting out on this just unbearable journey?
I would say just from the onset, it's their journey. It's your journey. Yeah. It's your story, and that's it. And there can't be any, I don't think, any broad general kind of advice. It's your own path. There's no right or wrong. There's no guidebook. There's no textbook. There is nothing for this journey you're about to embark on, and just take any advice, guidance and support as you can. And finding other mums, parents who've been through the same. It just means that the initial kind of explanation of why you're feeling a certain way, you don't have to do, because people just get it. Yeah. They just get it. I don't know, he's got a cough. Well, hey, all kids get coughs. No, they don't. Our kids generally mean something else, like an infection or something. So you don't have to give the backstory all the time. When you meet other amazing women like these guys, you can just pop something in and everyone knows straight away how you're feeling. Yeah. But I think the idea that there is a textbook, guidebook to this kind of thing is impossible. It's your journey, it's your story.
I think we're a massive example of that, because we all will react completely differently to different situations, and our emotions might well be different. I know me and Kerry have both spoken about that initial phase when they were first diagnosed and how we both, and I think we had a really massively different response in the hospital to what we wanted to know, what we didn't want to know, how much detail, how we processed it. And that just sets exactly what Kerry said. There isn't a right or wrong way of dealing with it. Everyone will deal with it differently. And just hearing even about the running situation and getting involved with charities, I think I'm the black sheep of the Marathon Mums, because I am a runner. So I actually did a race raising money for Children with Cancer UK in 2015. And then in February 2016, Isaac got diagnosed. So I'd already raised money for the charity without even knowing that we would then be helped by the charity. And so for us, it's not just me who's a runner. My whole family are runners. Isaac was a runner before, well, he is now as well, and ran through treatment. So I think that's the whole thing, isn't it? Everybody is in a different situation when they get that diagnosis. And so everyone will automatically respond completely differently. They'll need different things, but it's having that as Kerry says, just that deep breath out of somebody else knows what this feels like, even if they're going to react differently, even if they've got a completely different backdrop to their life to getting to this point, they just get it. They just
it's an unconscious link, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you don't realise that you have it, but you know that you do. You don't have to say something; they just know.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Well, I'm glad that you found each other, and I'm glad that we found you, because you've just been an incredible support to the charity, and we want to be there for you, but I want to thank you from all of us for being there for us. And it's been, I got to know Kerry a little bit at the marathon, and it's been really great to be in touch, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
Thanks for chatting with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It was fantastic to meet and chat. Good old Zoom, that takes us back, doesn't it? Whether it makes you want to take up running, form a group around another type of fundraising, or step out of your comfort zone and try an activity with one of our events, I hope you'll do it. Or contact us and suggest a new one. One of the most creative projects we support has to be the Beads of Courage programme. This amazing charity gives children going through treatment tangible ways to measure progress, tools to enable them to tell their stories, visual reminders of the milestones they've achieved, and reminders of the hope and support they have received along the way. So let's meet Luisa, whose son Theo was diagnosed just before his 4th birthday. She'll be talking about Theo's journey so far, and in particular, the impact that the Beads of Courage Oncology programme has had, not just on him, but the whole family. Luisa, thanks so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
I'd love to know from you, from your perspective, what does it mean to you to have charities like Children with Cancer UK in your corner when you're going through a diagnosis like Theo's?
Yeah, it means a lot. The charity's been so helpful just from the very beginning. Obviously, before he was diagnosed, I'd never heard of Children with Cancer UK.
As it should be.
Yeah, and
I wish you still hadn't heard of it, but
exactly.
I'm glad we're here for you.
Unfortunately, you know, that was the case. And from the very first moment he was diagnosed, we were in hospital, having our hospital stays, and I needed to hear patient stories. I needed to see successful stories, and instead of being talked at by doctors and nurses constantly, I needed to hear real things. And that's where I came across the charity and the website. Just from that, from hearing other people's stories was so helpful. I know that I can go on their website and look for any kind of support that might be there. Information about his diagnosis. He has had some lovely days out with Children with Cancer UK, which he very much enjoyed Harry Potter World.
Didn't we all?
It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He absolutely loved going there, and I just find it's a bit of comfort to know that the charity is there. If I need to pick up the phone, I know that I can ask a question to somebody, and the support is there. So.
That's so good to hear. Have you found that it's helped you connect with other parents and other patients? Does that help?
Yes, it has. When we went to Harry Potter World, and we also did the BGC day. We did get to meet other families, which was lovely. And it was nice for Theo because he came as well to the BGC day, to both, and he can see other children, and that he's not on his own, and that he has got other people, he can see other people going through it at his age. Really, really helpful.
And talk to me about, that we fund the oncology arm of the Beads of Courage programme. What has that meant for Theo to be involved in that programme?
We love the Beads of Courage. How amazing, it's a really great thing. When we first started it, it's hard to comprehend how important that it is at the beginning. It's just beads on a string, but actually even just a couple of weeks in, when you see that growing and what that means, the much bigger picture behind that, it's incredible. Theo at the beginning, wasn't that into his beads of courage. Not that he wasn't into it. He was only 3 when he was diagnosed, so he didn't really understand. And now he knows. He has chemotherapy every single day. He knows that earns him a white bead.
He has chemotherapy every day?
Every day, yeah. Wow. So he knows that will earn him a white bead. When he's on steroids, that'll earn him a blue bead. So he knows the beads and what they mean. And we actually put it in order, so it tells the story. And he loves it. Going to hospital isn't just about treatment; it's about getting his beads.
And to be able to help children to walk through those hospital doors. Yeah, I think it pays for itself.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we're on about 1,600 beads at the moment.
You're joking.
So yeah, we've got a lot of beads. Our last count up was like 1,550, so that was a while back. So yeah, we're probably.
And I think when I think of 1,600 beads, and I think that's such a representation, a physical weight that demonstrates what these kids go through.
Yeah. And like I say, like at the beginning, he didn't understand, and now he knows that is telling a story. I've told him, this is telling your story of how brave, how courageous you are. And yeah, it's so long. It's so long now. Again, it does tell a story. We need to,
So are you happy that some of our donor money goes to that program?
Please, please. It'd be such a shame if that was stopped.
No, it won't. Don't worry.
It would be such a shame. These children, they go through so much, and it's just a little something just for them to see how brave they are and how courageous they are. And you get the milestone ones as well, and the birthday bead, and various other beads for different milestones, and it needs to carry on. It's brilliant.
I love that. One last question for you. I know that obviously it's the topic of children and cancer is such a difficult one. People don't want to think about it. They don't want to confront it until it's happening in their life. As a parent, well, what's your advice to other people and how they approach that with you? Is it something that you do want to talk about with them? Is it something that you want them to understand more?
Yeah, I think, some people I think are frightened to mention it. I don't know whether it's a fear that they're going to upset you or something. And it's, the fact is, it's obviously it's not a nice thing that's happened, but we live it every day. So, you're not going to upset me by talking about it to me. If you have a question, ask me about it, And I would say that since he's been diagnosed, just creating awareness is actually such a big thing for us as a family now. Like I say, I didn't know about Children with Cancer UK before he was diagnosed. So, just create awareness, signs, symptoms, just put it out there so people know, because I think that there's just not enough out there for children with cancer in terms of the signs and symptoms and people knowing, mainly aimed at sort of GPs and doctors and hospitals. So many children are wrongly diagnosed, and so it's create awareness, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. I want to spread awareness. I want people to ask me if they have a question, if they're concerned about their child, Yeah, definitely.
Well, I really appreciate you talking to me about it today. Thank you, Luisa.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
I really hope we've been able to introduce you to a side of the charity's work and of living with the reality of cancer that you may not have known much about. There is so much we can do to improve not only survival rates and treatments, but also the quality of life for young people with cancer and their families or extended network. If you'd like to know more or to support us, please visit our website where you'll find all the information you need to be part of our community. Details are in the description below. Please join us again when we'll be trying to demystify research, looking at how our research-based projects are chosen, helping us understand the work in everyday terms and how this has positively impacted the lives of some of the inspiring young people we've been able to help so far. See you next time.